Hello, everyone. I'm sure a few stragglers will trickle in, but this is our third day. I hope you've had a wonderful first 2 days, and we are very honored to have Fasal from Red Hat being here to talk to us about how specialized knowledge can be used within organizations. Take it away, Fasal.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Um, so today I'll be talking about something practical, how we scale the specialist knowledge at Red Hat across our sales environment. So, and this is the agenda for today. So what we'll be covering is the challenges, what we observed, then what is the solution that we proposed, and we deep dive into the architecture of it. We'll also look into so I've divided it in two parts. The first act will be like building the RAG foundation, and then we'll see a real live demo of it with the agent in action. We'll then go and see how we evolve just from the RAG to the multi-tool agent systems. And then finally, we'll also have one more demo after that. We'll look into the evaluation frameworks. What are some key metrics that we've used to see how our entire system is working. And then we'll look into some benefits and the references of it. Awesome. So coming to the challenge, I would like to start you to understand from a different lens right now. Imagine that you're a seller, right? And you are in front of your customer. You are trying to make a deal. You are trying to convert an opportunity. And you are having conversations with them. And meanwhile, they started asking you some deep dive technical questions. Now, that is the moment where you freeze. Right? You know there are answers to these questions in somewhere knowledge bases, in the sources, in the PDF slides, but it's not right now available with you. As a seller, you don't have the expertise to answer them. Now, this is what we call as an enterprise credibility gap. So there's a huge difference between the sellers who are the front line with the knowledge that is hidden in your silos. Now, this is not just mere cartoon, but is actually day-to-day life of a salesperson that we have seen, right? So they have to go through a lot of systems, lot of processes to get a deal done. So when we saw there were a lot of friction points, and we wanted to identify them and reduce them. So to get a deal done, they have to access different CRM systems. It can be, Oracle, Enterprise, ERP systems, get the information from documents, maybe have the thresholds for the discounts given, and then finally, after all the approvals, they come and with the delay. Now, what is happening here is basically this is a kind of a to and fro process. A hot deal, a hot opportunity, which could have been done right at that moment, now takes weeks to and fro communication, and you lose that momentum. And that is what we have seen in the Red Hat Enterprise. Like a lot of our deals just go away with this. That's where what we call as stalled deal cycles. Now, if we are stuck here, right, what do we do? So all the technical questions that we face, we just throw them away to our specialists. Now, I would like you to flip the lens and be now an architect here, a specialist here, who is already dealing with his own work. You are already providing some huge architects. You're working with the clients. And you are continuously getting now pings from these sellers saying that, hey, what are the new features? What are the new compliance? My customers are asking this. What do I do? Now, this is the problem, right? All those questions which are documented there, you know that it's available, but your sellers do not have access to it. Now, you become as a search engine for them. You're already a high-value resource for your company. But you are burning your time efficiency in just answering these FAQs. You are flooded with those throughout the day. So this is what our specialists and sellers have been facing day to day in Red Hat. Moving ahead, so what is the solution that we provided? Is basically a virtual specialist, what we call as a sales assistant. It is available on web UI, Slack, mobile. All we have to do as a user, they have to authenticate once using the SSO token, and then the magic happens. It's like you get the access to the entire sales information on the tips of your fingers. You have external tools which will provide you the information, so they can help you create the quotes, validate them, have the access to the Salesforce data. Then you have some tools which even if you're going to some customer, before that you will have the information. What were the some products that I sold last year? What are some key challenges with this customer? All that information before having a meeting, you will have them on your palm. Now, this is all external. Then what we have is also the entire technical documentations available for you. So it is provided as a knowledge assistance. So all those questions that were coming, now the sales assistant, the virtual specialist become this first line of defense for us. Let's deep dive into the architecture, how we did it. So on the left-hand side, you can see once the associate, he is the user, does a login. Based on the SSO, we provide the different personas. So we will take care of the sales specialists, the account executives. Based on this, you will have the different prompts for the in front of them. And once they're logged in, they start communicating, interacting with the agent. Now, agent is where it's an intelligent brain that understands what kind of question the salesperson is asking. So it takes a decision whether it has to go ahead, fetch the information from the internal documentation. It goes ahead, has a lot of variety of documentation present. It goes fetch the information from there, curates it, and gives to the back to the user. Or is it something the user is asking where he has to go and access the external tools, fetch that live information from there, right? So for example, we use Workato, People AI, and also internal tools that the Red Hat has. So we fetch that information. Now, based this, the agent is on agentic memory as well. So whatever the conversations we're having in a natural language, they will be stored. We'll have the context what the user is talking about, the follow-up questions, everything that we'll take care from the agentic memory. For the documentations, we can see we're using one of the beautiful libraries like Dockling as well, right? So that takes care of the extraction purpose. For the models, we have hosted models like Granite models, with the IBM Granite models that we're using, and as well as the external models for the reasoning that we're using with the Gemini, the Claude. Now, just to give the brief about the tech stack that we're using, the agent is on the LangGraph. We have then the LangFuse, which gives us the observability and the monitoring purpose. Our agentic memory, the stored embeddings, they are on the Postgres. The entire system is hosted within the Red Hat in the OpenShift environment. Okay, so just before coming next to the slide, so there are two parts to this now, right? Like one is the knowledge assistance and the second is the tool itself. So how we divided it? So we first build the RAG foundation, and how we do it. It's like, let's say what's new in RHEL 10. Now, directly going to the agent didn't work. So there are a lot of enterprise terms that comes within Red Hat, the sales that we have to take care. So that is where we do the acronym expansion. And then the agent takes an intent which it has, which basically collection it has to go. So we have product docs, sales content, lifecycle, troubleshooting, sale process. So under the product docs, you can see what it does is product identification. So for Red Hat, we have more than 140 products right now available. So we have already seen, right, there's overlap of the data. So we have OpenShift AI. So whenever the user is asking about a question, it overlaps, right? Like it fetches the information from OpenShift AI. So how do we identify that is something that we'll see in the next slide also, the techniques that we have used for this. We do the resolutions of the versions, right? So we have RHEL 10, 7, 8, OpenShift 4.1. So all this is taken care here. Now, after that is the very process that we might know. We embed the queries. We're using the Gemini models. We use the PG vector search here. We do the knowledge retrieval, format the documents, and then return that to the agent. Okay. So how does the data ingestion pipeline look for us? The first part is that we run the daily cron jobs. So every day the data is refreshed. We fetch the latest data on daily basis. The second thing is what I want to explain from our experience is for different type of documents what we observed, there's no one solution that works, at least for the data extraction, right? So for example, for product documentation, KB articles, and solution knowledge-based solutions, what we understood, okay, we have the GraphQL, we create a knowledge graph, we put all the data there, we clean the data, and then use that directly for the API. But if you can see for ServiceNow and RSCC, what we observed is basically those extraction process doesn't work here. Now, for example, the data we have in ServiceNow is images showing the step-by-step process. So step 1, step 2, step 3. So for that, we are using the vision model, storing those in the S3, and while retrieving, we're fetching that back. Now, for the content center, we have the PDF and docs, right? So for docs, we're already using docling. We can also use for the PDFs, but what we observed is all those PDFs are basically images that have been converted to PDFs. Now, we tried a lot of libraries, open source libraries, but what we observed finally, the Gemini model was actually extracting the data much more accurately for us. And then we obviously have some web scraping done for the news and blogs there. So once this is done, what we do is basically for the ingestion pipeline, we do a SSH check so that we are not, rerunning the entire process of data ingestion. Again, we just see the delta. If there's something new, then only we take into consideration. We also check for, again, the chunking is something, right? Like one chunking strategy doesn't work for the entire process. We need to play around. I'll not go into much details of chunking because that's one more topic in itself. But what we do is the semantic clustering. We check for the data if it's already duplicated data. It's like 90% if it's already, we check. If it's similar to the previous content, we just kind of merge it. And then we create the embeddings through the batch processing. And then what we do once the processing is done, we put them in the PG vector database, and we run the CI/CD pipeline. We run the evaluation metrics every time the new data is ingested, so that we check against our ground truth that we are not changing the accuracy, or like has it improved or is it decreased, right? So for every ingestion is something that we keep on looking into this. So this is where we are right now. The entire documents, unstructured documents, we have a decent amount of unstructured data. It's almost now 600K documents that we have providing to the users, to our sellers. It's on the tip of their hands. They started using it with this amount of data now. Now, this is the algorithm I was talking about is basically identifying the data products. Now, we have 140 products. There's a lot of overlap of the data in there. How do I identify when the user is asking a query, it lands up in the right position or in the right collection? So that is where we use the fingerprint technique. What we do is basically we extract the data, we created a data frame, we group it by the product and its version. And then what we do is a clustering mechanism. We use the dynamic N clusters. We create the k-means clusters out of, so that all the concepts which are similar to each other, they fall under one cluster. So we get understanding of the entire product documentation, at least what are they talking about. And then basically we take the average of their centroids. We do a weighted average, and then we store it as a complete fingerprint. So whenever there's now a query that comes in, we match it. We understand, okay, this is the concept that it's talking about. This is the product which is very similar to it. From there, we take at least top 3. So even like it's not 100% accurate. So we take, to be sure and safe, we take top 3 fingerprints and the products, and that becomes the filter for our RAG system. Okay, so I'll switch here to the demo. Okay, sorry for that. It was just logged in before this. I need to log in. So in front of you is the UI for this, right? Like this is what our sellers also see. I will not go into the proprietary data. I'll be showcasing on the public data here, right? So I'll take one of the questions that is on the public data set, and I'll say about OpenShift 4.1, and I'm asking about the proxy settings in all nodes. The question is not important here, but what is important, if you see, this is the exact process that I was explaining is happening now. So our agent is doing the reasoning part. So it understands first all the, let it stream. So you saw the streaming part. So identify the products. It takes top three. What are the top three products this question belongs to? It does, after that, calls a RAG search, right? And then once the RAG search is done, all that information is curated and then provided back to our sellers. At the bottom, you can see there are the references from where all the answer was taken. You have the feedback mechanism, what you can provide. On the left-hand side, you will also see a history of whatever questions you're asking. Why I'm showing the UI, I'll just talk about in the coming slides. So this is one thing. Let's say I'll just ask about something else as well. What's new in RHEL 10? Yeah, it does the same process. I just want to show, so what about 9? So here you see, right, as a follow-up, I'm not telling it the entire context. I'm not telling about RHEL. So my agent is now automatically understanding what is the previous context. So from there, it takes this and provides me the information about RHEL 9 in the similar way what we saw previously, right? So I'll switch back to the slides now. Okay. So why RAG is not enough? Now, this is our Act 2. This is what we understood from our sellers. They want actions, not just answers. They want to have workflows. They want to have access to the CRM data. They want to have live data where they can create codes, look into pricing, discounts. They want context-aware intelligence, right? So all that system, the RAG is not able to provide them. So that is where what we do is basically evolve from just a RAG-based agent to a multi-tool AI agent. Now, this is the overall architecture. What we use is basically a React-based agent. What it does is reasoning and action. There's a reasoning loop in place. It selects the tool selection. So right now we have more than 13 plus tools in our agent. So they fall under intelligence, knowledge, pricing, workflow, different workflows. They get executed, build the context, and if agent understands, okay, it needs more information, more tools access, it goes back, does the reasoning again, selects the tool, unless and until it doesn't get the answer or the information that it has to provide. So till then, this loop continues, and finally, then it streams out the response for us. Now comes the best part. So over the past 1 year, we have built 7 to 8 agents. And when we were halfway through, we understood that the base of these agents are actually very similar and same, right? So the architecture, the framework is very similar. So that is where what we did is basically use the white paper jointly released by Anthropic and IBM on this. We created the template UI, template agent, and template MCP server, which we have open sourced. So this is what we want to give back to the community, saying that, okay, we built so many agents, now you can go ahead, use these, right? Because that's the reason I was showing the UI. That's why we have the MCP servers and the template agent. Similarly, what you just saw in a working demo, you will have this available for you. It's in open source now. What is a template agent? Just a brief about it's a LangGraph-based AI agent. You saw the live streaming, right? Just when I asked, it started streaming. You have already this capability available with the template agent. You will have the thread persistence with Postgres SQL. So whatever the chat, conversation history, everything, you're getting it, right? Like it will be stored. Then you have it's enterprise ready. health checks, logging, error handling, everything is in place. And it obviously has the observability with the Lang Fuse. All you have to do is just configure this. What is an MCP server? Again, the template MCP server provides tools, prompts, resources. You can use it with the HTTP, streamable HTTP, SEC events. With the OAuth is very important for us, right? So that is also in place. You do not have to write OAuth piece again. So with MCP template MCP server, it's inbuilt. And then the template UI, again, it's a React with TypeScript. It supports the real-time streaming support, because we already saw, right, like as the world is growing towards more agent, we need new UIs. We need something that are more agentic UIs, and that is where we have this React plus Fastify chat interface. Okay. I will not go into much detail, but this is how easy it is for you to create your own agent. I know I have been talking a lot about sales, but let's keep the sales apart for now. Maybe you are a machine learning engineer, you are from enterprise, you have your own data and you want to play around with agents, you want to get started with agents, you want to learn about it. This is how simple it is for you now. All you have to do, clone this, do some, like set some credentials here, and do a make local. That's it. You will have your agent up and running in your local. Like you get a different data source, you add to it. On top of this, you build your own tools, right? You add your own functions, and you will have the base working as just now, whatever you saw in the demo. Okay, so I'll switch to the second demo. So let's open a new chat, and I'll just copy paste one of the questions that I'm ready for this. So this is something usually our sellers encounter, right? So this is a customer needs an unlimited rel usage on-prem and in cloud. So what is the program that Red Hat will recommend to them? So once we ask this question, it goes ahead, it does a call to the external tool now. It says it's a buying program, right? And buying program is nothing but just like you can imagine, you get an Amazon service and they tell you take the Prime subscription with it and we give you at a discounted price. So that is pretty much similar thing here. It says I identify your primary driver is product depth and predictability, but to recommend the best buying program, I need the annual contract value as well, right? So I will go ahead and say, just for the number's sake, I'll say $50K dollars. And now you see, the questions are not important. What is happening is the agents that we're building is reasoning with us. It is asking follow-up questions till we reach to the end point. Now it says that, okay, it has already recommended like ESP Lite, but it's not still confirmed yet. What it says is like, what is your project year on your growth for rail usage, and are you willing to accept an 8-week consulting engagement? I'll just say yes for both for now, because till now you see, right, it's all reasoning just happening between a seller and a frontline specialist analyst. So there's no involvement of the management, there's no involvement of juggling between the documents, looking into policies, looking into the buying programs. So all that is taken care, and it's available for our sellers right in front. So that's where it says, right, I recommend the ESP Lite for rel program. Now, what I would like to show is, let's say I don't know what it is. What is ESP Lite for rel? This is the capability I want to show again, is like till now we saw some external tools hitting. Now this is where it gets interesting. Now we see it did a RAG search, right? So external tools interacting with internal tools also interacting with internal tools, right? So this is where the knowledge from one source can be used at the second source level with the same agent, same interface. We're not juggling between any system. Okay, let's look now at the evaluation piece. So this is something, again, we have open sourced this. It's a framework. Um, all you have to do is kind of configuration the files. After that, the engine will take care. You add the providers, LN provider, whatever you want to use as a judge. You have OpenAI capability, Watson X, Gemini. Um, it uses the Llama stack behind the scenes. Then you have matrices. Now, the core matrices are all under one umbrella, right? Like you can talk about ragas, deep eval, custom matrices. What we have done is put them all under one umbrella. So whatever you would like to use, you can use any of them, right? Like faithfulness, relevancy, context recall, precision. And that's not it. Once this metrics evaluation is done, what we also provide is reports and analytics. So this goes with the CSV, JSON, and graph, so it will be emailed to you. So definitely check out the libraries on the GitHub. It's open, so you can look into this. Now, out of this, I would just like, I will not go much into details of the evaluation, but this is something that I would like to cover. This is across the standard practices right now, what we use for the for our RAG-based systems for the LLM generation part, right? So this is at left-hand side, we can see the generation. So that is the LLM generation matrices that we use. That is the faithfulness. Basically, once the answer is generated, how factual it is. So that is where the faithfulness comes into picture. Or answer relevancy. How relevant is the generated answer to the question? So all this is at the generation level. But what about the RAG, right? So once we have the context, there should be some matrices there as well to identify whether the retrieved context is correct or not. So this is exactly what the precision and recall is doing. It's a signal to noise ratio of retrieved context. And can it retrieve all the relevant information required to answer a question, right? So that is the recall for us. I have written blogs around it. I have given the references. If you want to go ahead in more depth about these matrices and that, please go through them. They're like very detailed how we do it. So I would like to present our evaluation metrics as also. It's not something, so whatever we have been doing, we have been evaluating it, right? So on all those metrics, you can see for different product docs and different across sources, we have reached some very good number of almost 100% of context recall precision here. So definitely there is some improvement, but this is something that we have to go back because there's a lot of overlapping data, and we need to improve the data at the source level. Other than that, we have reached a very good number of scores for our knowledge retrieval. Then for the collection, so I did show identify mechanism, fingerprint mechanism. How well that works is, that's the rate that we are doing. We did across the ground truth. We see it's also, most of the cases, it's more than 90%. It's picking up the right product documentation for us. Okay, some of the benefits from the engineering side, from it's first of all when we started the last year, when we started the early of this year, it's in fact we used to spend 10-15 days just to build an agentic framework. Now, to be honest, whenever we have to build an agent, we use our templates. It's just a matter of 2 hours to get it up and running. We saw for the sellers, right? So we have rapid intelligent actions. So they have live contextual aware intelligence. I couldn't show, because of the proprietary data, there are a lot of external tools, a lot of things happening, but I couldn't show that in the demo. So there are a lot of code creation processes happening, pricing, codes, and all that. So that is now all covered, and we can directly see, right? So right now it's already under the UAT process for our 1K users. Our Salesforce are almost 8K, and by end of Jan, we are going to release it to 8,000 salesperson. So right now we have already seen a lot of positive feedback on this. So everything is available. We have all the code source open. We have a document aitemplates.io. If you want to learn, you want to get started with the agent step-by-step process, it is there. MCP server, agent, UI application, we will allow you to contribute, even if it's documentation, small contributions, please help us. Then the evaluation framework, again, you can go ahead. There are blogs that I've written. There's a fingerprint mechanism if you want to go in depth, understand how we did it, what is the math behind it. Everything is documented by one of my colleagues here. And then, yeah, I think that's all from my end. Yeah.
We have time for a couple questions, and I'm going to hand
You
them
don't need the mic. You can just.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. A very great talk. I have two questions. Number one is that I'm wondering, when you training like the AI agent, how do you handle like the inconsistency among like the external versus internal like a data source, or maybe like outdated data, or like a different expert there saying, how do you handle that? The second question is that when you actually how you evaluate like agent AI agent like has just will learn about the reasoning, or just like simply memorize the annotated example. Thank you.
So for external sources,
Yeah.
we already have the Salesforce in place. Okay, so what we are doing is basically doing the connection to those external sources here. Okay. So our data is already curated in the Salesforce, and that is what we are fetching, on the fly from there.
But how you handle the inconsistent? Let's say your internal has an answer and the external has an answer, right? How you handle that?
Okay, so what we have is basically the reasoning examples to our agent, right? So that is where that's kind of a guidance to it. So we have the guidance provided. So while it takes some action, it fetches those guidance first. It understands what is required, what has to be taken, what is the next actions. So based on that, it understands the flow, right? So that's where it's not deterministic, but it has some power to take actions based on those guidance. So so it's basically we have provided all the guidance in the Git. So we use the tool. So whenever we call that, so it fetches those guidance, and it finally takes decisions based on that.
Second question, how you evaluate? Like, is it really do the reasoning or just memorize the annotation?
Yeah. So what we have is basically, if you see in this evaluation framework, so that is the tool called evaluation as well. And here we are also using as a follow-up multi-turn conversations, right? So where we provide the ground truth as a multi-turn conversations, and then we use the custom matrices to see if whenever I'm asking multi-conversations, is my model actually giving those predictable, answers, or is it just like, whatever it has memorized and all that. So that is where the multi-turn conversation comes into place as a evaluation for this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I think you might have answered my question, but I love the scoring framework you have. But you said that you use the tool called evaluation to actually measure the outputs against that framework and to assign the scores.
Yes, so this is the framework. Like, this is a custom framework that we have built, but it does behind the scenes use Ragas and the DP valve. So
how do you know that those scores are accurate then?
based on the ground truth that we have. So we already have curated. So under the UAT, we already have curated around 500 to 1,000 questions, which are already positive or negatives, and that is our ground truth. Even when we do the ingestion, when we run the CI/CD pipelines, when we do the final evaluation, that becomes the ground source for us.
Okay, so you have a test set that you compare it against. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Hi, this was incredible, mind-blowing. Thank you. So going back to this is not a technical question, but more like about sales. So like when I think about salespeople, they're doing a variety of activities. Some of them are prospecting for new customers. Some of them are maintaining existing customers. Some of them may be answering, questions that come in, like almost like a customer service type function. So I'm not sure, based on what you've done, like which piece of the sales activity are you really focused on here with this?
Actually, most of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just go back just to show you our architecture. Yeah, so this is, so when you talked about this last part about getting the technical questions, so this is the part that takes care. And when you said, like existing deals, opportunities, what have you, so that is where the external agents come into place and tools come into place. So they, before even going ahead for, talking to the customer, they understand what were the opportunities that were created earlier, what were the risks involved, and what can be benefits, or whom to reach out, who has been a connection with them in the past. So all that information comes from the external tools like People AI and Workato.
Okay, so you can really cover all of those areas. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And one follow-up question, something I've been thinking about is like what they call next best action. So like, what is the next best action if I'm a salesperson, I'm managing a territory, I want to maximize my sales or whatever. What's the next best action I should take? Who should I call? What should I be going after? That's something that's really important. So have you thought about that, or is the system capable of helping with that?
System is capable of doing that. Yeah, so it does that. So that.
Oh, sorry. So it's almost like a prescriptive type thing. If I log in today, if I'm a salesperson, what should I be doing this week? It could create an answer.
So if you want to tell about like Microsoft is my organization that I'm going to meet, what should be my next steps, it does that for you.
So this can also provide strategy to approach the
Yes.
customer. Okay.
There's a proprietary data, that's why I couldn't show you all that stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
We have about 45 seconds for one more question. Don't have time. Thank you so much. One more round of applause for Fasal. Thank you.